Hello and welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life with your host Avik. This podcast is all about exploring the latest research, sharing personal stories, and providing personal tips for improving our mental health and well-being. Each episode will be joined by experts in the field of mental health, as well as individuals who have experienced the transformative power of a healthy mind firsthand. Together, we will dive into a range of topics from managing stress and anxiety to building resilience and cultivating happiness. So, join us on this journey to discover new ways to take care of our minds, bodies, and souls. And let's work together to create a healthier, happier world one episode at a time. So, let's get started. Hello and welcome back to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host Avik, and today we are diving deep into an incredible world of hypnotherapy and how it can be a powerful tool to support mental health and the emotional well-being. So joining me is the wonderful Tara O'Neill. So welcome to the show, Tara.
Thank you, Avik, so much for having me. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Lovely, lovely. So, Tara, before we start our conversation, I'd quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Dear listeners, Tara is a certified clinical hypnotherapist, yoga instructor, and the holistic coach. So, her journey began when traditional medicine failed her, leading her to explore ancient wisdom, sacred healing sites, and the integration of mind, body, and the spirit. So, through hypnotherapy, Tara helps others unlock their subconscious mind and eliminate the stress and transform their lives, improving not only their health but also their wealth. That sounds really awesome, right? So, in this episode, we will be exploring how hypnotherapy works and why it's so effective in promoting the mental health and how Tara emerges or merges the ancient wisdom with the cutting edge neuroscience to create the lasting change. So, why to wait? Let's get started. Welcome to the show again, Tara.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very excited to be here, and I hope I can share some insights into hypnosis, the wonderful power of the mind.
Yeah, exactly. Lovely. So, to start with, Tara, your personal healing journey led you to explore the hypnotherapy. So, if you could share what initially drew you to this practice and how it helped in your own life.
Yes, absolutely. I was a high school teacher for many years, and I was very burnt out. I overworked myself, and I realized a lot of the symptoms that I had of fatigue and what we might call burnout impacted me mentally. I was anxious, I was depressed, I was stressed, and the traditional Western medicine tends to treat symptoms. And I knew that I was not that person. And I knew that, or I had the belief that the mind and the body can heal itself. I just didn't know exactly how. So I sought out to discover how to heal myself. I wanted to know all the information before I was, blindly taking a drug or even a supplement. I wanted to know how could I heal myself through these practices. And so yoga had always been very helpful for me in calming my nervous system and in making me feel regulated. And I decided to do my yoga training, and I went to Thailand, and I was submerged on an island with natural foods and clean, fresh water, exercise, fresh air. And in a matter of a month, I was much healthier, much more energized, nearly healed of burnout. Though there was still some lingering beliefs and what I would discover as emotional injuries or wounds that many of us go through in childhood that are relatively typical. And what I discovered was the subconscious mind, and I actually went into yoga nidra, which is a form of hypnosis. So as I studied yoga nidra, I then began to study hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming, and I dealt just completely dove into this world of alternative healing. I had the fortune of traveling to these wonderful sites in Rishikesh, India, and Bali, and many other countries that hold what I consider, ancient wisdom, and they have this knowledge within them that they are able to share. They're willing and able to share. So I'm fortunate to meet many sages and mystics and yogis, and then take what modern neuroscience is doing and explaining in terms of the wisdom of the body to heal itself and neuroplasticity. And I was just amazed. It took me a few years. So now what I'd like to do for my clients is accelerate the process. And they don't have to go around the world. If they like to, they of course can. And so I've synthesized some of the ancient wisdom with the modern science to really go in and heal the mind, body, and spirit.
Wow, that's really lovely. And so for the listeners who might be unfamiliar, so if you could explain like what hypnotherapy is and how it works in relation to the mental health.
Yes, absolutely. So when I first started out, I read a lot of books, and that's it's a great place to start, but that's often mostly our conscious mind.
Mm.
So if you think of the subconscious mind, that is where most of our beliefs and our emotions and our automatic behaviors are stored. So unless we go a little bit deeper, we aren't generally changing at the root core of the possible injury or wound or infliction, or negative belief. And so when you access the subconscious mind through different modalities like hypnosis, you're able to reprogram or rewire and release these beliefs that often have no validity. And we can reframe them into more positive ones, or we can neutralize them. So if you had, for example, if you were bullied as a child and you were picked on, and you have low self-worth because of those incidences, we can go back and we can process them. And we sometimes automatically, we don't even need to reframe it or create a new one. We just neutralize it, and we go back to that child that experienced that trauma. And it really changes the whole trajectory of our life and the way that we process and the way that our reality is formed around us.
True. Exactly. You talk about integrating the ancient wisdom with the with us. How do you combine these elements in your hypnotherapy sessions?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always encourage clients when they're first starting out to breathe. And it sounds like it's simple, but often that is the best way to start to get in touch with our body. And there's a lot of there in yoga. One of the 8 limbs of yoga is pranayama. And now there's a lot of breath work out there. There's some wonderful breath work facilitators, and it's really become mainstream. So I always suggest people start out by breathing. And the breath is so important because it moves our prana, or our chi, or ki, or our life force energy. In the West, we don't have this notion that well embedded into our system. But in yoga, we call it prana. It's the life force energy, and it can be moved through the breath. And it can move our subtle body, our energy field. We now know we have energy fields around our body. Everything is energy, right? So we now know that the aura actually is in science, there is an energetic field that can extend several feet. And when we breathe, we are actually starting to move some of this. And if you think of it as all of our unprocessed emotions or experiences are stored in our mind, our body, but also our energy field. And that's where I do incorporate some of my energy work. I do Reiki, which is a ancient Japanese modality of moving the chi, the prana around. And so we can overlap the notion of the trauma stored in our limbic system of our brain, but I would also say that it is also within our chakra system or our energy system, and that is more of an ancient philosophy. Again, now we are able to start to prove these, and we can, we're taking more data on it. Joe Dispenza does a wonderful job of collecting data through his meditations and his programs and showing how these energy systems, these chakras, are able to be balanced and realigned. And the transformation that people experience is absolutely magnificent and life-changing, truly.
Understood. Perfect. And so, what are some of the common mental health challenges that, according to you, that hypnotherapy can help address? So,
Yeah. So right off the bat, stress, right? So most people in our modern world are inundated with stress. They're inundated with physical stressors, emotional stressors, chemical stressors, you name it. We have a lot of stress, most people. And so what we want to do is eliminate some of that. And so right off the bat, just this relaxation is going to be helpful. So hypnosis is wonderful at hypnotherapy. And just to distinguish hypnotherapy, we're using hypnosis in a therapeutic sense. Hypnosis, you can also see for entertainment and on movies. And that's, can be a little misconstrued. So I want people to, do their own research and know that it's very safe and there's no mind control aspects of it in a way where the person always has complete control. And so with what I see first and foremost is people are like, I can sleep better. I'm sleeping better. People say right away, they're sleeping better and they feel much less anxiety, much less worry. That inner critic is not as loud. And so that is that's relatively universal. So that's great. And so once we have done a little bit of the basics of kind of, I like to call it a deep cleanse of the mind, right? It's like putting a deep clean on the oven. Each night we sleep, we are taking out the trash, we're cleaning up. But with the hypnosis, it's going really into clearing up some of the unprocessed things that we just don't have time to process, right? If there's something that we go through in life, it's like, oh, we'll deal with it later. But sometimes later never comes, and we're just carrying these loads of stressors on our back, so to speak. And when we're in the beginning, so I'll usually work with clients for anywhere from 1 to 6 months, and the first week is really just a letting go, and people are just starting to feel lighter and lighter, and they're losing a lot of these unprocessed stressors, which is just beautiful. And then sometimes that is enough for the habits to go away, the behaviors to go away, the addictions to go away. And sometimes we have to go a little bit deeper. And sometimes we go into maybe childhood, or if there was something, a caregiver that was possibly neglectful, or a bully situation, or there's we know in our modern world there's a lot of different stressors that children have to go through now, and we might go a little bit deeper, and we might get a little bit more particular based on that person's individual needs. But what I find is that the subconscious mind, the mind and the body are able to heal it themselves if they're given the right circumstances and the right resources and the right support. And so this is what we're really doing is we're really creating a setting so that people can transform their lives permanently, right? So we don't want to just, fix, everything, make everything great, but then they go back into their lives and they're caught up, in the rat race. So we are wanting it to be a permanent process in terms of unloading the stressors, but not throwing the stressors right back on. So to answer your question, anything from insomnia, overeating, sugar addictions, unmotivation, demotivation, anxiety is definitely a big one, and then trauma or abusive relationships. People have a lot of patterns that they're attracting into their life of people that maybe are supposed to be some sort of a corrective experience from maybe growing up, some sort of a healing that needs to be taken on a deeper level, maybe even a more karmic level. So there's a wide range of things, but like I said, right off the bat, we're going to see more balanced blood sugar, better sleep, clarity, a sense of peace. So it really is mind, body, spirit healing. It's not nuanced to just one thing, which is wonderful. It's like you come in for one thing and you leave with, healing a lot of other things.
Yeah, understood. Totally. Yeah. So, so how can someone know that if they are a good candidate for the hypnotherapy? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
misconceptions about this.
Yeah. So often people will come in for a specific issue of perhaps fear of flying,
Okay.
some sort of a phobia, some sort of a food aversion, or just maybe they have like I said, a lot of times addiction, could be coffee, could be smoking, could be alcohol, shopping. We have a lot of addictions now that are more common, or even habits, if you don't want to call it quite an addiction. And so they'll come in for that, and then they'll have a lot of clarity of like, oh, I see, that's why. So if you're under any stress, I would say you'd be a good candidate for it. And you can go online and you can go on YouTube, you can go on my website, you can practice and do a recorded hypnosis. Now, it's not going to be the same, of course, because it's not individualized to that person, but that would be a really great place for them to start. I would suggest, doing a guided meditation, doing a hypnosis, doing some deep breathing, doing some journaling, sitting with themselves. But if they're thinking, oh, this might be something to try, they're probably halfway there already, because most people want feelings of well-being, right? They want to improve their health. They want to improve their wealth. They want to improve their relationships. So I would say for most people, if they're thinking about it, they're probably a great candidate. The only thing that I really would need from a potential client is the willingness to want to come in and want to change.
Exactly. That's really perfect. Yeah. Yeah. So, um, you have traveled the world to study under both the scientists and enlightened healers. So, how have these diverse influences uh, shaped the way that you approach healing with your clients? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say that, all of these people that I've come across had the commonality to see a healer in me. And in turn, I see all of my clients as their own healers as well. So that to me is empowerment. I think that many people, that set out on this journey, they don't really know what they're getting themselves into, right? Like I was doing some personal growth work and then I ended up on this beautiful journey.
Right.
But I think, these really enlightened, so to speak, self-actualized, these benevolent teachers that I've had, all saw this purity within me that helped me grow. And I can in turn do that for my clients. And I can see my clients in the highest light, in the best light, maybe before they can even do that. And to me, that makes or allows me to be a good facilitator, to share what I know, but empower them to take control of their mental health, of their physical health, of their spiritual world, and explore whatever they desire in their heart.
Lovely, lovely. Uh, and like as a holistic coach, you emphasize the integration of the mind, body, spirit. So, how do you incorporate these elements into your sessions beyond the hypnotherapy?
Yeah, I always encourage people to question everything and to do self discovery. And the beautiful thing about going within, be it contemplation, meditation, prayer, hypnotherapy, you have that ability and that space to uncover
Mhm.
what spirituality means to you, what mind body connection means to them. And so I think giving them that
Mm.
space is really helpful. And then the semantics of it and the logistics, whether you call it soul or spirit or heart or love or what universe, whatever you want to use in terms of some of the more abstract concepts that you get to when you're exploring your consciousness, um,
Mhm.
doesn't really matter so much. And so that's why I like to put the umbrella up and then allow them to create their own meanings of what mind, body, and spirit is.
Okay, okay. So, also, like, what are some of the simple techniques or the practices that you can share with our listeners to start harnessing the power of their subconscious mind in daily life?
Yes, thank you. Wonderful question. So they can start by journaling. I think that writing things down doesn't have to be, sometimes I think people think journaling has to be a proper, dear diary, this is what happened, this is what I'm thinking. It can be, you can jot words down, you can draw, you can scribble, you can write affirmations. But I
Mhm.
would say get curious and not and as best you can, not judgmental, right? So if you have a negative thought, if you have a bad feeling, just observe it, write it down, don't judge it or share it with somebody that you can trust, and just explore it. So I would say approach some of this from a place of neutrality or being the observer, and that can make it a little bit
Mhm.
more not as intimidating or not as emotionally evoking anxiety or stress. So I would say definitely journaling, talking to somebody that you trust, meditation if that feels good, breath work, and uh, finding time for yourself. Even if it's just a few minutes a day to go for a walk. Without listening to anything, just looking in nature. And so there's a lot of ways that you can go ahead and get started, but I think your viewers are probably pretty conscious, and so pick one or two, and do it for 30 days and see how it goes, right? So be it an affirmation or a journal entry. Often when you wake up in the morning is nice because you have a little bit of clarity, and so often, but you can do it before bed, you could do it at lunchtime. But I would say choose one or two practices to get started, and stick to them for a month or so, and see if it made a difference, and assess your progress, assess how you feel, if you feel any differently from before and after.
Wow, that's really lovely. Yeah, great. Great. So thank you so much, Tara, for joining us today and sharing your wisdom about the hypnotherapy and the holistic healing. So it's been truly eye-opening to hear how you combined ancient practices with the modern neuroscience to help people unlock their true potential. So for everyone listening, if you are interested in exploring the hypnotherapy or learning more about Tara's work, make sure to check out the links in the show notes. And always remember that taking care of your mind is just as important as taking care of your body, and the tools like hypnotherapy can be a game changer on your mental health journey. So, thanks for tuning into Healthy Mind and Healthy Life. I'm your host, Avik, signing off from Healthy Mind and Healthy Life. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.